Are you in a tight spot? Do you feel like you have a lack of resources to chase your dreams or goals? Do you feel like you can't even do what God is leading you to do because of the lack of resources? Then this video is for you. Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back to Wisdom Wednesdays, and I'm coming back to you with another video. Today's topic is God will provide. And that's a very good topic because I feel like that's something God really put on my heart. Like I was laying down, I was going to sleep, and he hit me with this revelation. I was like, I definitely gotta make a video on this. So I'm about to share you guys what he put on my heart to share. There are many times in our life where we feel like we have a lack of, whether it be money, be support, whether it be, any type of resources. We may just feel like we have a lack thereof. And what I feel that God really put on me to get across to you guys is that he will provide the resources for where you're going and for where he is taking you. If God is leading you somewhere, if he's saying, hey, I want you to go down this path, he's going to provide for you. He's going to bless you with the resources you need. Now, this is why it's so important to stay on God's path, because it's harder when you try to do it your own way. Because we have free will, which means that God can't force us to do anything. So I know a lot of people say, oh, God's plan this, but you may not even be in God's plans because like I said, we have free will. So we can make our own decisions and make selfish decisions and carnal decisions to go a route that we may think is best for us, not even be aligned with the will of God for our lives. So that's why it's important to make sure that you're on the right path with God. We need to understand that it's easier to become successful being aligned with God's will rather than trying our own way. And that's because when we try it our own way, we got to work that much harder. We have to do so many different types of things, That's why so many people backstab people to be successful. That's why so many people lie, they steal, they do people dirty. Like when I was younger and I seen how fraudulent businesses ran, like that's all I seen. I seen that in movies, cartoons, and I was like, man, like I always want to talk my own business, but as a kid seeing that, I'm like, if I gotta do that just to be successful, if I can't even have integrity and be honest and not have to backstab people just to be successful, like I don't want that. But that was just a mindset I had to come out of because I was just so used to seeing that in movies and that was always being portrayed. That's even portrayed in the world, that you have to be dirty. You have to backstab somebody just to be successful, just to get on top. And that's not so. That's when you're doing things by your own will. But when you're in the will of God, you don't have to do all of that stuff. Like he provides. He opens the doors. If he's saying, hey, Jermaine, I want you to go over there, I want you to do that, he's going to provide. He's going to bless me with the connections. He's going to bless me with the resources, with the ideas. He's going to bless me with everything I need. Why? Because it's his plan. It's his will. He can't tell me to do something if he's not going to provide. That's like me saying, hey, I want you to go to the grocery store and get A, B, and C, D. But I don't give you no money. I don't give you anything you need. I just tell you to go. So God will provide. That's just one example. Now I'm going to give you 3 more examples that God actually provides, and I'm going to do it from a biblical perspective. And it's important to do it from a biblical perspective because that's how you learn how God is. Because when you look in the Bible, you look at his characteristics and you look at the things he does, and you see like, oh, okay, that's how he is. This is how he acts. This is what he does, and he provides. So I'm going to give you 3 examples. So the revelations hit me when I started reading the book of Exodus, and I don't know why I was in there, but I just started reading the Bible, and I was like, okay, where should I read? Opened the book of Exodus. And then I didn't get the revelation till later on, but God really started ministering to me about the book of Exodus, and so many revelations hit me. So the first example is in the book of Exodus, the Israelites were slaves in Egypt for about 400 years. God sent them Moses to save them. So he sent Moses so he could get Pharaoh to free the slaves and to, take them to the promised land because, man, 400 years of slavery, being whipped, all that, like they wanted to deliver, they wanted a savior, so God sent them one. So while Moses was leading the people to the promised land, Pharaoh really got mad that he even let the people go. He was mad that they were free in general, so he sent soldiers to kill the people while they were traveling with Moses, and they came to a point to where they were at the Red Sea. So it was like either they crossed the Red Sea or they get killed by these soldiers. So what God did is tell Moses to raise his staff, stretch his hand over the sea, and God divided the Red Sea. So imagine that. Like he took them out of Egypt from slavery in the first place. And then they got to a point to where they were stuck like, man, we don't know what we gonna do. That's like being stuck at Lake Michigan. You looking at Lake Michigan, like, how am I gonna go across this? And God just separated. So that's just another example that God will provide. And I guess you could look at that as even opening the door. When you need to cross, when you need to get to another side, he will make a way. Like if he go part a whole sea, surely he's gonna open the door for you. The crazy part about that is that sometimes God will do something in our life and it's like we'll forget it. It's like we'll forget what he brought us to and forget what we've been praying for and the things that he made come to pass, and we'll start stressing on our current circumstance. So after he parted the Red Sea, they were traveling through the desert, and people started complaining to Moses like, man, like, you out here trying to kill us? We hungry and we thirsty on top of that. They were so mad that they was like, we should have just stayed back in slavery. And they started grumbling against God. And this man just parted the Red Sea on their behalf. So God was very upset just at the fact that they were grumbling against him. What God doesn't like is doubt. That's the killer of faith, and that's like something that really hinders when God moves on your life, is when you doubt him. Is when you're like, man, I don't believe in you. I don't have faith. Because without faith, it's even impossible to please God. That's even in the scriptures as well. So doubt is like the enemy of faith. So when you got doubt in your life, when you're doubting him, you need to really shut that, because it causes bad circumstances in your life. So don't doubt when God does something for you. You got to have that faith. So even though he was mad at the fact that they were grumbling against him, what he did was he provided food for them. He provided manna for them. Manna is a type of grain that they ate. Peep this. God parted the Red Sea for them. He provided them with manna. Then after that, they still complained. They were like, man, we should have stayed in Egypt, because they got tired of eating the grain. They wanted meat. They're like, man, we need some meat. You know what I'm saying? We tired of eating all this grain. We need some meat. And they started grumbling again to Moses and even to God, saying like, man, we should have just stayed in Egypt. And this is my last example. So just to recap real quick, God parted the Red Sea on their behalf. He provided them with manna. He provided them with quail. And then they came to a camping spot and they started complaining again, because they're like, we're dehydrated. They're like, man, you got us out here trying to die. You want our kids to die. You want our livestock to die. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should have just kept us back in Egypt. You should have just kept us back in slavery instead of having us travel through this desert to get to the promised land, because we dehydrated out here. So they started complaining, and then Moses like, man, God, like, look, you need to deliver some water, some Aquafina or something, some Dasani. Nah, not Dasani, but some Ice Mountain or something, because these people are about to stone me out here. So God provided them with water. What he did was told Moses to take a staff and go to a rock and strike it. And when he struck that rock, water came out for them to drink. So it was just so many different things that God did just to provide for people who constantly complain. But those are a good 3 to 4 examples that show you that when God puts you on a path, he's going to provide for you. He took them out of slavery from Egypt and put them on a path to go to the promised land. Now, the path wasn't easy. The path was long. They traveled for years. The path was long. It was hard, but he provided. You know what I'm saying? Even when they started complaining, even when they started to turn against him because they were mad, he still provided. So that goes to show, when God leads you to do something, wherever you got to do it, if he's saying, okay, I want you to open up a business, I want you to go here, I want you to go there, he's going to provide the resources. But the thing is, don't complain about it. Don't doubt him, but trust in him. That's when things will work even better for you. It's when you start trusting him. Just a quick example. In the Bible, it was 2 blind men that came up to Jesus, and they were blind. And he said, do you believe that I'm able to do this? And they replied, yes, Lord. Then he said, according to your faith, let it be unto you. And they were healed on sight because of their faith, because they believe. They were healed like that. So that's what I really feel like God is like really saying to everybody watching this video, saying according to your faith. If you sitting here down and you like, man, I can't do it. I'm limited. I face discrimination. I face racism. I face poverty. I face lack of resources. Okay, you gonna be stuck in that. But if you're saying, okay, man, it does say, with man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. If you say, I don't know how it's gonna happen, but God's gonna make a way. He's gonna make a way. He's gonna provide. You just gotta trust in him. Just trust in him, because he will provide. He has all the resources. in his hands. So I'm challenging you guys today to take the initiative to read the Bible and to look at different Bible verses that talk about God providing, and get that in your mindset, because you need to renew your mindset. You need to get out of the mindset that it's not going to work out. You need to renew your mindset that builds your faith to say that, okay, God is going to provide, God is going to make a way. And that builds your faith when you constantly feeding yourself the word, feeding yourself the scriptures that remind you, okay, God did this for that, God did this for that person. Like he's going to do it for me. And he can't lie. So whatever you read and whatever words it says, he can't lie. He can't go against that. So for example, it's a Bible verse. It says, for he knows the plans that he has for you, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, but plans to give you a hope in the future. So if you think it to yourself, man, he got plans to prosper me, not to harm me, but plans to give me a hope in the future. You know what I'm saying? Then I should keep you motivated. That should know he got good plans for me. So it's going to work out for my good. So I want you guys to do that on your free time, your spare time, get in the word, renew your mindset, and I hope that was a good message for you guys. I'll be coming back next week with another video, whatever God put on my heart. But I pray this is a blessing for you. So just make sure you subscribe, like the video, share with anybody, family, friend, whoever you may think needs this video. If this was helpful for you, share the video, like it, comment below. I appreciate you guys for watching. Stay tuned to next week. God bless.